There is a hidden truth few ever realize. Money is only energy, quietly responding to the state you embody. The moment you align with it, you will attract unlimited wealth without force or struggle. Stay with this, and you will awaken the unseen current that draws abundance into your life. Money is only energy. Introduction. The relationship between consciousness and wealth flows through channels as ancient as time itself. Within the infinite wisdom of universal law lies a truth both simple and sacred. Money responds to the pulse of your thoughts as surely as waves answer the moon's gentle pull. You stand at the threshold of understanding that transcends mere material pursuit. Money, in its purest essence, exists as vibrating energy, a current that moves in perfect harmony with the laws of abundance. This energy neither judges nor discriminates. It simply flows where attention and belief direct it. When you shift your perception from seeing money as a solid object to recognizing it as flowing energy, you align with its natural state. Like water finding its level, financial abundance seeks those who vibrate in resonance with its true nature. This alignment occurs not through force or struggle, but through the gentle art of allowing. Your consciousness creates the container into which abundance flows. When thoughts of lack, fear, or unworthiness cloud your mind, they construct invisible barriers to this natural flow. Yet when you cultivate thoughts of gratitude, worthiness, and expansive possibility, you open channels through which prosperity naturally streams. The frequency of wealth resonates with trust, not anxiety, with expansion, not contraction, with flow, not resistance. As you attune yourself to this frequency, you become like a tuning fork, vibrating in perfect harmony with universal abundance. This understanding transcends mere intellectual knowledge. It must be felt in the depths of your being. When you truly know that money is energy responding to consciousness, you no longer chase it, but rather allow it to flow naturally into your experience. This shift from pursuing to allowing, from grasping to receiving, transforms your entire relationship with abundance. The key lies not in doing more, but in being more aligned, more open, more trusting in the infinite flow of universal abundance. Before we get into the book, comment "I am ready" to affirm your intention to the universe. Part 1. The Awakening Realm of Energy. Chapter 1. The Whisper of Abundance. In a small cottage at the edge of town, Millie spent her mornings hunched over bills scattered across her kitchen table. Each dawn brought fresh waves of worry as she calculated and recalculated, her tea growing cold beside her untouched breakfast. Outside her window, her garden waited patiently, its flowers turning their faces toward the morning sun. One particular morning, exhausted from her ritual of concern, Millie stepped into her garden to clear her mind. As she lifted her watering can to tend to her roses, a profound realization washed over her. Just as she had faithfully watered her worries each morning, allowing them to grow wild and untamed, she had neglected to nurture the seeds of joy and gratitude within her heart. The universe speaks in whispers of wisdom, and in that moment it revealed a timeless truth. Abundance flows not from the endless manipulation of numbers, but from the conscious cultivation of appreciation. Like the flowers that naturally turn toward the light, Millie learned to direct her attention toward possibility rather than scarcity. In another part of town lived Harold, a retired schoolteacher who understood this principle in his own way. Walking down the sidewalk one autumn morning, he spotted a single penny gleaming in the sunlight. Where others might have passed it by, Harold stopped, picked up the coin, and held it with genuine gratitude. "Thank you," he whispered, both to the coin and to the universe that had placed it in his path. Within days, Harold received an unexpected refund check, followed by an inheritance from a distant relative he had once helped in their time of need. The penny had become a key, unlocking a flow of abundance that had always existed, waiting only for the warmth of his acknowledgement to make itself known. These stories illuminate an eternal truth. Abundance is not a distant shore to be reached, but an ever-present stream flowing beneath the surface of everyday life. It responds not to worry, but to awareness, not to calculation, but to appreciation. The wisdom of the ages offers us this practice. Choose any object within your view right now. It matters not whether humble or grand. Rest your attention upon it with genuine appreciation. Feel how it serves you, how it adds to your life's experience. Let this feeling of gratitude expand within you until it becomes a gentle vibration, a hum of alignment with the universe's endless supply. This sensation is your signal that you have tuned to abundance's frequency, that you are ready to receive. In this state of appreciation, you become like a flower opening to the sun, naturally drawing to yourself all that you need to flourish. This is the forgotten art of allowing, not through force or strategy, but through the simple, powerful act of grateful awareness. Chapter 2. The Language of Emotion. The ancient wisdom whispers that money speaks not through numbers, but through the silent language of feeling. In the depths of your being lies this truth. Your emotions shape the channel through which abundance flows. Take Betty, who sits before her computer screen each morning. Her fingers hover over the keyboard, reluctant to type in her banking password. The numbers themselves remain unchanged, yet her heart races as though facing an adversary rather than information. With each login, waves of anxiety surge through her body, creating ripples in the universal field of energy. Though her lips may speak affirmations of abundance, her body tells a different story, one of constriction, of holding back, of bracing against an imagined storm. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, responds not to the words we speak, but to the emotions we emanate. Like a faithful mirror, it reflects back the very frequency we transmit. When anxiety clouds your relationship with money, that same energy manifests as experiences that justify your unease. Yet witness how this ancient principle reveals itself through Calvin, whose bakery stands as testament to a different truth. In his small shop, the aroma of fresh bread mingles with something less tangible but equally nourishing, joy. As he kneads his dough each dawn, Calvin's voice rises in melodious celebration of prosperity. His hands shape not just bread but possibility, each movement an expression of delight in the act of creation. Calvin's customers speak of something special in his shop, an invisible warmth that draws them back day after day. They feel welcomed, uplifted, embraced by the atmosphere he creates. His register chimes steadily, not because he chants prosperity affirmations, but because his entire being radiates the frequency of abundance. The message becomes clear. Your emotional state is the true currency of exchange with the universe. Fear constricts, joy expands. Anxiety repels, while peaceful anticipation attracts. Ancient practice. The emotional alchemy of abundance. Find a quiet moment and settle into stillness. Place your hand upon your heart and acknowledge whatever feelings arise about money without judgment. Speak to these emotions as you would to cherished friends. If fear appears, cradle it gently. I hear your concern, and I honor your desire to keep me safe. When anxiety surfaces, embrace it with understanding. Thank you for trying to protect me. We can relax now. Let gratitude become your guide, starting with the smallest things: the air you breathe, the ground beneath your feet. Feel how appreciation naturally opens your being, creating space for abundance to flow. In this gentle dialogue with your emotions, you speak the universe's native tongue, transforming the very vibration through which wealth flows into your life. Chapter 3. The Mirror Within. In an ancient tale passed down through time, a woman named Dora walked through her village each day, watching others celebrate their good fortune while lamenting her own misfortunes. "The universe favors them," she would whisper, as merchants counted their coins and farmers gathered abundant harvests. Yet with each complaint, she failed to notice how the world around her transformed into a reflection of her words. When Dora spoke of others' luck, her own garden withered. When she bemoaned her neighbor's prosperity, her own purse seemed to lighten. Each morning brought new irritations: spilled water, torn clothing, broken pottery, all echoing her inner dialogue of lack. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, simply mirrored back what she held within. The law of reflection operates with unwavering precision. Your outer world manifests as a perfect mirror of your inner realm. Each thought you nurture, each emotion you harbor, creates ripples in the fabric of reality that return to you with mathematical accuracy. This is not punishment or reward, but rather the natural operation of universal law. Consider the tale of Norman, a humble craftsman who inherited an aged wooden desk. While others saw only weathered wood and tarnished brass, Norman perceived possibility. Each evening, he would lovingly polish its surface, envisioning it placed in a sunlit office overlooking flourishing gardens. As he worked, he felt the smooth wood beneath his hands, not as it was, but as it could be. Within months, an unexpected opportunity arose. A position opened that matched the very vision he had held. When he stepped into his new office for the first time, there stood his restored desk, gleaming in the morning light, positioned exactly as he had imagined. The universe had reflected back his inner vision with perfect clarity. The law of reflection teaches that what you see in your world stems from what you first see in yourself. Wealth, success, and abundance do not arrive by chance but manifest as reflections of your inner state. When you shift your inner dialogue from lack to abundance, from criticism to appreciation, the mirror of life responds accordingly. Ancient practice of mirror manifestation. Find a quiet moment as the sun rises or sets. Sit in stillness and allow your awareness to expand beyond the visible surface of your surroundings. Begin to perceive the golden light of possibility that permeates everything around you. See this light touching each object, each surface, each space with its transformative power. Feel how this radiance responds to your attention, growing brighter where you focus, dimmer where you withdraw. As you continue this practice, notice how your environment begins to shimmer with potential. Watch how reality itself seems to soften and become more fluid, more responsive to your inner state. This is the mirror of creation, acknowledging your true power as a conscious creator. Hold this vibration for several minutes, allowing yourself to become fully immersed in this field of infinite possibility. Observe how the world around you begins to reflect back this same quality of potential, validating the ancient truth that external reality always mirrors internal awareness. Chapter 4. The Current of Belief. In a small cottage at the edge of town lived Elsie, who faithfully recited abundance affirmations each morning before her mirror. Yet despite her diligence, the words felt like empty echoes bouncing off glass. Each declaration of "I am wealthy" seemed to fade into the air, leaving only ripples of doubt in their wake. Through the whispers of the universe, a truth emerged. Belief flows like electricity through the circuitry of words. Without this vital current, even the most powerful phrases remain dormant, like unlit lamps waiting for power. Elsie's revelation came when she stopped forcing the words and instead allowed herself to sink into the feeling of being provided for, just as a child trusts in their parents' care. The universe operates not through mechanical repetition, but through the magnetic pull of unwavering faith. This faith emerges not from rigid discipline, but from releasing into the natural flow of abundance that surrounds all creation. When you cease straining to convince yourself of prosperity and simply rest in the knowing that supply is your birthright, the energy of abundance flows unimpeded. Vernon, who cast his nets into the misty waters each dawn, understood this truth without needing to name it. While other fishermen anxiously scanned the waves, he hummed ancient melodies passed down through generations, his heart beating in rhythm with the sea's eternal abundance. His nets filled not because he demanded it, but because he harmonized with the ocean's generous nature. Each morning he would say, "The sea gives as it has always given," and in this simple trust, the waters yielded their bounty. The universe mirrors back the essence of your deepest beliefs, not your surface thoughts. When you try to force belief, you create resistance. When you relax into trust, you open the channels through which abundance naturally flows. This is the subtle difference between affirmation and alignment, between pushing against reality and dancing with it. Now, settle into this ancient practice passed down by those who understood the rhythm of universal supply. Find a quiet space where you can be undisturbed. Allow your body to relax, releasing tension from each muscle as you breathe deeply and steadily. As your breath flows in and out, recognize that this same current of life force moves through all creation, orchestrating the dance of abundance in every form. With each breath, feel yourself merging with this eternal flow. Quietly affirm, "The same power that moves my breath moves all supply. Let any fears dissolve naturally, like sea foam dissipating on the turning tide, as trust rises like the moon drawing the waters home." This is not a practice of convincing yourself of abundance, but of remembering your place within its endless current. In this gentle awareness, you align with the very force that maintains the cosmos, and in doing so, you become a natural channel for its infinite supply. Chapter 5. The Gift of Focus. In the heart of a bustling marketplace, Clara stood amidst her small shop of hand-woven textiles, her mind darting between unpaid invoices, missed opportunities, and choices she wished she could remake. Each morning brought a fresh assault of worries that scattered her thoughts like leaves in an autumn wind. Her hands would tremble as she counted the day's earnings, her attention fractured between past regrets and future fears. The ancient wisdom teaches us that energy, like light itself, follows the path of our focus. When sunlight passes through a lens, its power intensifies at the point of convergence. So too does the energy of creation concentrate where consciousness rests its gaze. Your thoughts, like beams of light, hold the power to illuminate or remain diffuse, their strength determined not by quantity, but by unity of direction. Clara's transformation began the day she chose to gather all her scattered thoughts and direct them, like rays through a crystal, toward gratitude for what remained constant: her skill with the loom, the loyalty of her regular customers, the rhythm of her craft. As she wove this appreciation into each thread, her business began to flourish in ways she had never imagined. In a distant city, Lionel discovered this same truth through his devotion to crafting musical instruments. Rather than dispersing his energy across multiple ventures, he poured his entire being into perfecting the art of violin making. His focused dedication drew unexpected patrons, collectors who sought his works, musicians who praised his craftsmanship, and benefactors who funded his workshop. The wealth that followed came not from his pursuit of money, but from his unwavering concentration on excellence. The universe responds not to the breadth of our desires, but to the depth of our focus. When gratitude becomes concentrated rather than casual, when attention becomes singular rather than scattered, the very fabric of existence begins to shift in response. Ancient practice. Choose one desire that brings you joy, not from need or fear, but from genuine delight. Sit in stillness each morning and gather all your thoughts like collecting scattered light into a perfect beam. Feel how your entire being aligns with this single point of focus. Let all other concerns fade naturally, not pushed away, but simply allowed to settle. Maintain this gentle yet steady attention until you feel the warmth of certainty in your heart. This is the moment when essence begins its transformation into experience, when the invisible current of creation starts its flow toward manifestation. Chapter 6. The Rhythm of Receiving. In the heart of a bustling marketplace stood Ivy, her hands perpetually extended in giving. Each morning, she offered freshly baked bread to passers-by, donated her earnings to those in need, and shared wisdom with anyone who asked. Yet as the sun set, an emptiness echoed within her spirit, a void that no amount of giving seemed to fill. The universe whispers an ancient truth. Giving and receiving form an eternal dance, like the rhythm of breath itself. To resist receiving is to interrupt the sacred flow, as though commanding a river to flow in only one direction. When you close yourself to receiving, you deny others the blessing of giving to you. This wisdom rings clear through time. Abundance flows not in straight lines, but in circles. Each gift given must complete its journey through receiving, just as every garden needs both the giving of seeds and the receiving of rain. The masters of old knew this secret, that to refuse to receive is to stem the very current of life itself. Walter, a jazz musician who played in dimly lit clubs, understood this lesson through music's gentle teaching. For years, he poured his soul into every note, yet turned away from applause with humble dismissal. His talent flowed outward, but he built a wall against its return, until one evening when wisdom touched his heart. As the last note of his saxophone faded into silence, Walter finally allowed himself to receive. The audience's appreciation washed over him like a warm spring rain. In that moment of surrender to receiving, something shifted in the universe's ledger. Within weeks, invitations to perform multiplied, opportunities blossomed, and abundance flowed from unexpected sources, all because he completed the circle of giving and receiving. The law remains unchanging. What you resist receiving cannot truly flow. Your capacity to accept determines the measure of abundance that can move through your life. The universe seeks balance in all things, in breath, in tide, in the exchange of energy we call life. Ancient practice of receiving. Stand in quietude, arms open to your sides, palms facing upward. Feel the invisible current of life flowing through you with each breath. Your inhalation is the universe's gift. Accept it fully. Notice how naturally your body receives this precious offering of air. Let this be your teacher. For 3 breaths, simply allow yourself to receive. Feel the profound permission in each inhalation, the blessing of acceptance in every moment. This is the completion of abundance's eternal circle. Chapter 7. The Story We Tell. In a small coastal village, May woke each morning to count her worries like shells on a shore. "There's never enough," she would whisper, weaving tales of lack into the fabric of her days. Each story, she told herself, strengthened the walls of limitation around her life, until the walls became so familiar she mistook them for truth. One dawn, as May watched waves rhythmically touch the shore, she noticed how the ocean neither hoarded nor hesitated. It simply flowed in perfect trust. In that moment, she understood that her stories of scarcity were merely habits, not laws. She began speaking a new narrative. Like the tide, abundance flows naturally to me. Within days, her words shifted the current of her experience. Opportunities appeared like gifts carried on waves. A forgotten investment matured. A client doubled their order. A long-lost friend shared a valuable connection. May discovered that the universe responds not to what we wish for, but to the stories we embody. The eternal law whispers this truth. Your narrative shapes the energy that forms your reality. The words you speak to yourself are seeds planted in the fertile soil of consciousness. These seeds grow into the circumstances you experience, for energy follows the path carved by your deepest beliefs. Consider Chester, a merchant who had long recited a tale of struggle in the marketplace. "Business is always hard," he would say. "Success requires endless battle." His days unfolded exactly as his words predicted, filled with strain and resistance. Then Chester encountered an ancient teaching. As within, so without. He began to consciously craft a different story. "Business flows with ease," he declared. "Opportunities arise naturally." He spoke these words not as desperate hopes, but as simple statements of truth. The shift was remarkable. Customers appeared with perfect timing, negotiations concluded harmoniously, and resources arrived precisely when needed. Chester had not changed his actions. He had transformed his narrative. This wisdom echoes across time. The stories you tell become the life you live. Every thought, every word is a thread in the tapestry of your experience. When you choose to speak of abundance, abundance responds. When you narrate ease, ease becomes your reality. Ancient practice, the narrative of prosperity. Find a quiet space where you can speak aloud without interruption. Close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths. Now, begin telling a story of sufficiency, not as a wish, but as a present reality. Speak slowly, feeling how different tones affect your physical sensations. I am surrounded by abundance. Every day, prosperity flows to me in expected and unexpected ways. I receive with grace and gratitude. Like a river finding its path to the sea, wealth moves naturally through my life. Notice how your body responds to these words. Pay attention to any resistance or expansion. Practice this narrative daily, allowing your voice to find the tone that resonates with truth. Your story is not just words. It is a vibration that ripples through the universe, calling forth its own fulfillment. Chapter 8. The Frequency of Gratitude. In a quiet village, Hazel spent her mornings cataloging misfortunes. The prices rise while my income stays the same, she would lament to anyone within earshot. Others prosper while I barely manage. With each utterance, the shadows in her path grew longer, and opportunities that might have knocked gently at her door turned away, sensing the vibration of rejection. Through the window of her small shop she watched Everett, the elderly gardener, tending to the community gardens. Each morning he greeted the sun with outstretched arms, his voice carrying across the square, "I thank thee, blessed day, for this abundance of light." He spoke to each plant as he watered them, expressing gratitude for their growth. "What magnificent gifts you bring," he would say, touching their leaves with reverence. At first, Hazel dismissed his behavior as peculiar, yet she could not help but notice how his garden flourished beyond others, how strangers stopped to admire his flowers, often leaving generous tips, and how local restaurants competed to buy his herbs. Without seeking wealth, it flowed to him naturally, drawn by the magnetic field of his appreciation. The universe responds not to the words we speak, but to the energy our stories emanate. Each thought you hold shapes the field of possibilities around you. When you speak of lack, you broadcast a frequency that attracts more experiences of scarcity. When you weave tales of abundance, the universe conspires to match your narrative. Your story becomes your reality because energy follows the path of least resistance toward matching vibrations. Like attracts like in the grand dance of creation. The words you choose are seeds planted in the fertile soil of consciousness, growing into the very experiences you will harvest tomorrow. The sacred practice passed down through ages reveals this truth. Begin each day by consciously crafting your story of abundance. Let your first thoughts be of thanksgiving, your first words be of praise for what already exists in your life. Ancient practice of story weaving. Find a quiet space and settle into stillness. Begin naming, with genuine feeling, everything that brings you joy, from the warmth of sunlight on your skin to the breath in your lungs. Continue this practice until you feel your energy shift into natural appreciation. Notice how this new vibration begins attracting corresponding experiences as your inner narrative reshapes your outer world. Let this practice remind you that you are not merely telling a story. You are programming the very frequency that wealth recognizes and responds to. Chapter 9. The Bridge of Imagination. In the hills beyond the city, Lula sat each morning with her notebook, filling its chapters with vivid descriptions of the life she yearned to create. Yet even as her pen moved across paper, doubt crept in like morning mist. whispering that such dreams belonged to others, not to her. Each time she wrote of abundance, a small voice questioned whether she deserved such fortune. The universe speaks first in whispers of imagination, for what you can envision, you can manifest. Your thoughts are the architect's sketches of reality, drawing the blueprint that energy follows into form. When you allow yourself to dream without restraint, you open channels through which abundance naturally flows. In a small workshop at the edge of town, Albert crafted homes from raw lumber, his weathered hands moving with quiet certainty. Before touching any tool, he would stand in silence, eyes closed, seeing the finished creation in his mind's eye. Where others saw only planks and nails, he perceived the completed structure, every joint, every beam, every detail clear as sunlight. As the years passed, Albert noticed something remarkable. Each home he built matched his inner vision with uncanny precision. The more vivid his mental picture, the more exact the physical manifestation became. He discovered that his imagination was not mere fantasy, but a powerful force shaping reality. Your visions carry the seeds of their own fulfillment. When you hold an image with unwavering faith, the universe begins arranging circumstances to match your expectation. This is not wishful thinking, but the operation of ancient law, as above, so below, as within, so without. The power of vision lies not in forcing outcomes, but in allowing yourself to feel the natural completion of what you desire. Like water finding its level, energy flows to match your innermost picture of reality. Your task is not to struggle, but to maintain clarity of vision until the outer world aligns with your inner sight. Ancient practice of vision manifestation. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes and breathe deeply, allowing your body to relax completely. Picture your desired reality with crystal clarity, not as a distant dream, but as your present experience. Feel the emotions of having received what you desire. Let these feelings anchor deeply in your body until they become more real than any doubt. Hold this vision until you sense an inner knowing that what you see must manifest, for it already exists in the realm of pure potential. Open your eyes gently, carrying this certainty with you into your day. End of Chapter 9. Chapter 10. The Dance with the Universe. In a bustling marketplace, Opal stood before her silk merchant's stall, fingers tapping anxiously as she tried to predict the day's sales. Each morning brought the same ritual, rearranging displays, adjusting prices, attempting to control every detail that might affect her fortune. Yet the more she grasped, the more customers seemed to slip away like water through clenched fingers. One dawn, as she wrestled with her silk banners in the wind, an old street musician began playing his flute nearby. The melody swayed with the breeze rather than fighting it, creating a harmonious dance. Opal noticed how his simple acceptance of the wind's rhythm transformed what she saw as an obstacle into an enchanting display, drawing admiring crowds to watch her silks ripple like waves in the morning light. The universe speaks in the language of flow. When you resist its rhythm, you create friction that blocks the natural current of abundance. Like a river meeting a dam, your determination to control outcomes only creates pressure and turbulence in the stream of prosperity that seeks to reach you. This truth revealed itself to Floyd, a potter whose workshop sat at the edge of town. For years he had rigidly scheduled his firings, growing frustrated when circumstances interrupted his carefully laid plans. Until one day, his kiln failed during an important order. Instead of forcing repairs, he chose to hum softly and trust the timing. That very delay led to a chance encounter with a traveling merchant who ordered 10 times his usual inventory. The wisdom of surrender lies not in passive resignation, but in active alignment. When you release your grip on how abundance must arrive, you free the universe to deliver its gifts through countless unexpected channels. Your role is not to direct the flow, but to dance with it, allowing your desires to be carried on currents far greater than your own limited vision. Trust in divine timing opens pathways that control cannot reach. Like a leaf carried by a stream, your journey to prosperity becomes an effortless unfolding when you align with the natural rhythm of universal law. Ancient practice, the surrender dance. Find a quiet space and stand with your eyes closed. Begin breathing deeply, feeling the natural rhythm of your breath. Allow your body to sway gently, following any impulse to move. Let your arms float up and down with your breath, surrendering to the inner orchestra of trust. Continue this dance for several minutes, feeling how effortless abundance becomes when you stop forcing and start flowing. This practice awakens the cellular memory of wealth as your natural state, calling forth prosperity through the power of peaceful alignment. Chapter 11. The Shadow of Fear. In the quiet depths of night, Nellie gathered her unopened bills and hid them beneath old blankets in her cedar chest. With each envelope tucked away, her breath grew shorter, as though the very air knew of her attempts to obscure reality. Yet, in the stillness of her room, these hidden fears took root and flourished, growing larger than the actual numbers they contained. The universe speaks through what we resist, and fear itself is but energy in disguise. When we turn away from what unsettles us, we grant it a shadow kingdom where it rules unopposed. Yet within every fear lies a seed of power, waiting to be transformed through the alchemy of acceptance. Consider how water, when faced with an obstacle, does not retreat but transforms its path. So too must you learn to face what troubles you, allowing its energy to be redirected rather than resisted. Fear of lack is simply abundance attempting to teach you where to direct your attention. In the bustling marketplace of a distant city, Gerald felt the familiar tremor of scarcity ripple through his being. His business had been slow, and old patterns of worry began their whispered chorus. But instead of allowing these vibrations to overwhelm him, he chose to sit with them, breathing steadily as though in conversation with an old friend. With each breath, Gerald welcomed the sensation of uncertainty, not as an enemy to vanquish, but as energy seeking transformation. As his breathing deepened, the trembling fear began to shift, clarifying into sharp focus and determination. Within days, clients appeared as though summoned by this newfound clarity, drawn to the authentic power that comes from transforming fear into purposeful action. The universe responds not to what we hide, but to what we dare to face. Every emotion, even fear, carries within it the seeds of its own transcendence. When you learn to dance with what unsettles you, it becomes the very force that propels you forward. Ancient practice of transmutation. Find a quiet space and settle into stillness. Bring to mind one fear about money or abundance that has been haunting your thoughts. Rather than pushing it away, welcome it as energy that wishes to serve you. Breathe deeply and thank this fear for its presence, recognizing it as potential power in disguise. With each breath, feel the fear dissolving into pure motivation, transforming from weight into wings. Continue until you sense a shift from resistance to receptivity, from tension to possibility. Part 2. The Cave of Transformation. Chapter 12. The Illusion of Control. In a sunlit office overlooking the city, Sadie sat surrounded by meticulously crafted plans and strategies. Her fingers gripped each paper so tightly they trembled, her knuckles white with determination. Charts, spreadsheets, and to-do lists covered every surface. Her attempt to control the flow of prosperity through sheer force of will. Yet with each passing day, as her grip tightened, abundance seemed to slip further from her grasp like water through clenched fingers. The universe operates on paradox. The more we attempt to force its hand, the more it retreats from our grasp. This truth lies embedded in the ancient wisdom. Abundance flows not to those who chase it, but to those who align with its natural current. When you release your grip on outcomes, you create space for the universe to work through you rather than against you. Money, in its essence, is pure energy-seeking expression. It responds not to demand, but to allowance, not to pressure, but to permission. Like a butterfly, it lands most readily on the open palm rather than the closed fist. Your relationship with wealth transforms the moment you understand that control is an illusion, and surrender is your greatest power. One quiet evening, Leonard sat in his garden, watching the sun paint the sky in hues of amber and rose. For the first time in months, he set aside his worries about the payment that had long been overdue. As the evening air softened his thoughts, he felt an inexplicable peace settle over him. In that moment of release, something shifted in the universal fabric. The very next morning, without any additional effort on his part, the long-awaited payment appeared in his account. This is the subtle art of allowing, the wisdom of knowing when to step back and let the universe orchestrate its perfect timing. Just as a river naturally finds its path to the sea, abundance flows most freely when we remove the obstacles of doubt, fear, and excessive control. Ancient practice of allowing. Find a comfortable position where your body can fully relax. Take several deep breaths, feeling each exhale carry away the weight of trying to control outcomes. Allow your shoulders to soften, your jaw to unclench, your hands to rest open and receptive. Feel yourself being supported by an invisible current of abundance that moves through all things. Know that this current carries everything you need, just as it carries the stars in their orbits and the tides in their eternal dance. Rest here in this gentle knowing, trusting that guidance will deliver all that is meant for you in its perfect time. Let your only effort be no effort at all. Chapter 13. The Lesson of Patience. In the heart of a verdant valley, Polly paced beneath ancient olive trees, her fingers constantly refreshing her investment app. Each moment without visible growth felt like failure. Each hour without returns sparked restlessness in her heart. The universe had whispered its promise, yet her impatience created a barrier between intention and manifestation. Like many who first touched the power of universal law, Polly believed that speed equaled success. She had learned the principles, spoken the words, felt the emotions. Why then did abundance seem to move so slowly? The answer lay hidden in nature's own rhythm. in the patient unfoldment of all lasting creation. You see, the law of attraction operates not through the ticking of clocks, but through the ripening of consciousness. Just as a seed requires darkness and stillness before it can pierce the soil, your desires must gestate in the fertile void of trust. This sacred interval between thought and manifestation serves as the crucible of creation. Consider Wesley, a humble craftsman who understood this truth. While others rushed to build empires of sand, he tenderly nurtured his woodworking business like a growing sapling. Each day he worked with joy, unconcerned with the pace of progress. He knew that mighty oaks take decades to reach their full majesty, yet their foundations run deep and strong. Year after year, Wesley crafted his pieces with loving attention, allowing his reputation to spread naturally through the whispers of satisfied clients. He never forced growth, never demanded immediate results. Instead, he aligned himself with the organic rhythm of expansion, and so his business grew, not like a weed that springs up overnight, but like a towering tree that would stand for generations. The universe moves at its own perfect pace. When you plant a seed of intention in the fertile soil of consciousness, your role shifts from doer to witness. The law of attraction works not through anxious observation, but through calm expectancy. Ancient practice, the roots of patience. Find a quiet moment and settle into stillness. Close your eyes and envision your desire as a seed planted in rich, dark earth. Rather than straining to see results above ground, focus your attention on the invisible growth occurring beneath the surface. Feel the roots extending deeper, stronger, drawing nourishment from the soil of infinite possibility. Breathe deeply and affirm, just as nature unfolds in perfect timing, my good develops in divine order. I trust the unseen process of manifestation. Let this visualization remind you that what appears as delay is often the necessary foundation being built for lasting abundance. Chapter 14. The Voice of Doubt. In a quiet valley between ancient mountains, there once lived a woman who spent her days weaving tapestries. Each morning as she approached her loom, a voice within her whispered, "You cannot." This voice, as familiar as her own breath, had been her constant companion, growing louder with each passing season. When your dreams stretch beyond the familiar horizon, an inner voice often rises to question your path. Like waves against stone, doubt crashes against the shores of possibility. Yet within these very waters lies a hidden truth, one that the ancient masters understood well. Doubt serves not as your adversary, but as a signpost marking the threshold of growth. The voice that whispers impossible speaks not from malice, but from the deepest chambers of protection, where old patterns guard against change. Yet it is precisely this resistance that signals the proximity of transformation. As the arrow must be drawn backward before it can fly, so too must you feel the tension of doubt before release into new possibility. In a distant market town, a merchant named Clyde faced this same truth. Each morning, he would open his ledger and hear the whispers of impossibility. His business teetered on the edge of change, calling him to expand beyond the comfortable boundaries of what he knew. The voice of doubt spoke loudly. Stay small. Stay safe. Yet Clyde discovered an ancient practice. Instead of fighting the doubt, he would acknowledge it with gentle awareness. "I hear your concern," he would say to himself, continuing to take one step forward. He placed orders for new inventory, spoke to new suppliers, and reached toward expansion, all while allowing doubt to sit beside him like an old friend. One morning, as golden light spilled across his desk, an unexpected letter arrived. Within it lay a check from a forgotten transaction, arriving at precisely the moment he needed it most. This gift came not from fighting doubt, but from moving forward in its presence. The universe speaks in the language of synchronicity. When you honor both your dreams and your doubts, you open the channel for grace to flow. Your doubts do not block the path, they pave it with awareness. The practice of gentle persistence. When the critical inner voice rises, pause and breathe deeply. Allow a soft smile to touch your lips and speak these words with quiet certainty. Thank you for trying to keep me safe while I expand. This ancient practice honors the protective wisdom of doubt while affirming your commitment to growth. In this acceptance, resistance transforms into forward motion, and the path ahead opens with surprising ease. Before we get into the next chapter, you can download a free ebook version of this audiobook using the link in the pinned comment below this video. Chapter 15. The Fire of Desire. In the hidden mountains of an ancient land, there lived a wise woman named Ruth who spent her days tending to others while denying her own dreams. Though gifted in the healing arts, she would quickly dismiss any praise, believing that to embrace her talents fully would somehow diminish those around her. Each morning, she would wake with visions of establishing her own healing sanctuary, only to push these thoughts aside as selfish indulgences. The voice of doubt whispered constantly in her ear, "Who are you to want such things? Be content with what you have." And so Ruth dimmed her light, believing humility meant making herself smaller. Yet the universe speaks through desire, planting divine seeds in fertile hearts. Your deepest yearnings are not random thoughts, but sacred messages, cosmic arrows pointing toward your highest expression. When you deny these promptings, you resist the very force that seeks to flow through you into the world. Consider Oliver, a merchant who spent 20 years maintaining his family's textile business while his true passion for painting lay dormant. Each time he passed an art supply shop, his heart would leap, yet he would quickly suppress this joy as frivolous. But one day, after a particularly vivid dream, Oliver finally listened to the persistent call within. He began painting in the early morning hours before work, feeling more alive than he had in decades. As Oliver honored this creative urge, remarkable shifts occurred. His paintings began selling without effort. Customers at his shop, sensing his renewed energy, increased their purchases. Opportunities appeared as if by magic. An art gallery owner discovered his work. A wealthy collector commissioned multiple pieces. The universe responded to his courage to embrace his authentic path. Your desires are not random accidents or selfish whims. They are the language of the divine speaking through you. When you feel a persistent calling, a recurring dream that won't let go, you're receiving guidance from the infinite intelligence that orchestrates all of creation. To deny these promptings is to refuse the gifts the universe wishes to express through you. Money flows most naturally when aligned with genuine passion. The universe supports those who dare to embody their truth. Your desires are not obstacles to overcome, but doorways to walk through. The very fact that you can imagine something means you're being invited to create it. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space and close your eyes. Place one hand on your heart and ask yourself, what brings me genuine joy? What makes my soul sing? Let yourself feel the full force of your desires without judgment. Notice any thoughts that arise trying to diminish these dreams. Breathe deeply and affirm, my desires are divine guidance. Through following my joy, I serve the highest good of all. Sit with this truth until you feel your desires transform from burden to blessing. Chapter 16. The Turning of Habits. Long ago, in a distant village, there lived a woman named Peg, who began each morning by counting her worries like beads on a string. With every dawn, she would sit at her wooden table, fingers tracing circles of anxiety into its surface while reviewing all that could go wrong. Her thoughts cast shadows that seemed to darken even the morning light streaming through her window. The universe speaks through patterns, through the sacred rhythms we establish in our daily lives. Each repeated thought, each habitual action creates a groove in consciousness, much like water-shaped stone through constant flow. Your morning ritual becomes your daily decree to the universe, setting the tone for what will manifest. Peg's transformation began when she replaced her worry ritual with a practice of gratitude. Instead of counting concerns, she started naming blessings, the warmth of sunlight on her face, the aroma of morning tea, the sound of birds greeting the day. Within weeks, her entire field of experience began to shift. Opportunities appeared like spring flowers breaking through soil, and her long, stagnant financial situation showed signs of movement. The law of vibration responds not to occasional thoughts, but to consistent patterns. Your habits are prayers offered to the universe, repeated with such regularity that they become your energetic signature. Every ritual you perform is a statement of what you believe possible. This truth revealed itself through Marvin, a merchant who had developed a habit of ending each day by listing his grievances in a worn leather journal. His nightly ritual of complaint had become a magnetic force, drawing more reasons for dissatisfaction. When he consciously transformed his evening practice, replacing complaints with thoughts of generosity and appreciation, his income began to stabilize. Each night, before sleep claimed him, he would write of ways he could serve others, of gratitude for what he had received, of abundance he could share. The universe mirrors back to you the energy you consistently emit. A sacred ritual, performed with intention and joy, becomes a powerful catalyst for transformation. It is not the grandness of the gesture, but the steadiness of its practice that creates lasting change. Your chosen ritual becomes your covenant with the universal flow. Through it, you declare your readiness to receive, your willingness to align with abundance, your commitment to maintaining a higher vibration. Ancient practice. Choose one simple daily activity, preparing morning tea, walking to your door, washing your hands. Transform this ordinary moment into a sacred ritual by infusing it with conscious joy and gratitude. For 7 days, perform this action with complete presence, allowing appreciation to fill every movement. Feel how this small shift begins to reshape the energy field around you, creating new pathways for abundance to flow. As you practice, remember that every ritual is an invitation to the universe, a declaration of your chosen vibration. Through consistent, joyful practice, you establish new patterns that the universe must answer with corresponding manifestation. Chapter 17. The Gate of Forgiveness. In a small valley town lived Agnes, whose herbal shop once flourished until her former business partner opened a rival store directly across the street. Each morning, Agnes would stand at her window, watching customers enter her competitor's door, bitterness growing like thorny vines around her heart. Her shelves gathered dust while her ledger showed declining numbers. The more she focused on her grievance, the more her prosperity withered. Within the eternal laws that govern abundance, resentment acts as a dam, blocking the natural flow of universal energy. When you hold on to past hurts, you create resistance in the very current that wishes to bring you abundance. Your attention to wrongdoing becomes the barrier to your own receiving. The universe speaks in the language of release. It responds not to what you claim to want, but to the energy you emit. When resentment clouds your field, it matters not how many prosperity affirmations you recite, or how diligently you work. The frequency of blame repels the very abundance you seek to attract. Consider Joseph, a skilled investor whose portfolio remained stagnant despite his expertise. For years he carried the weight of his father's financial betrayal, when a family business venture collapsed through what Joseph perceived as negligence. This unresolved hurt colored every investment decision with caution and mistrust. One autumn evening, while reviewing yet another disappointing financial statement, Joseph suddenly understood how his resentment had become a self-imposed prison. In that moment of clarity, he chose to release his father from the debt of the past. The simple act of forgiveness lifted a weight he hadn't realized he carried. Within weeks, his intuition sharpened, his decisions flowed with newfound confidence, and his investments began to flourish in unprecedented ways. The universe responds to the lightness of being that follows true forgiveness. When you release others from the bonds of blame, you simultaneously free yourself from the energetic chains that restrict abundance. Every act of forgiveness becomes a key, unlocking doors that resentment had sealed. Ancient practice of release. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. Visualize each person toward whom you hold resentment. See golden cords of energy connecting you to them, cords weighted with past hurts and grievances. With each exhale, imagine these cords dissolving into light. Feel the sensation of lightness spread through your body as each connection transforms from burden to blessing. Continue until you sense a new spaciousness in your chest, a physical signal that energy now flows freely where blockages once stood. This practice, passed down through generations of wisdom keepers, restores the natural current of abundance in your life. Chapter 18. The Prism of Purpose. In a sunlit courtyard, Edith counted her earnings from another successful week at her investment firm. The numbers were impressive, yet her spirit felt hollow, like a gilded vase without flowers. Each evening she would place her wealth in the vault, yet take her emptiness home. Though her accounts flourished, her soul whispered of something missing. The universe speaks through this void. When wealth flows yet fails to nourish, it signals misalignment with your deeper truth. Money serves as both mirror and messenger, reflecting not just your ability to receive, but your authentic path of service. The emptiness you feel is not a flaw, but a compass pointing toward your soul's intended expression. Consider how the master craftsman shapes his work. Each strike of the chisel serves beauty. Each brush stroke honors truth. When your work becomes your love made visible, abundance transforms from mere accumulation to meaningful expression. Your gifts are unique frequencies waiting to resonate with those who need them most. Stanley, a piano teacher in a small mountain town, discovered this truth through his own journey. Though he could have pursued concert halls and acclaim, he found his joy in awakening music in others. Each lesson became a gift of presence. His students' eyes would light up as melodies flowed from their fingertips, and soon his practice overflowed with eager learners. The money followed naturally, like autumn leaves dancing in the wind, because his heart led the way. Your purpose already dwells within you, like a seed waiting for spring. When you align your work with service, wealth becomes the natural outcome of value freely given. The universe delights in supporting those who channel their gifts toward the highest good of all. The ancient practice of purpose. Find a quiet moment as dawn approaches. Sit in stillness and place your hand upon your heart. Ask inwardly, "How can my service reflect love today?" Let the answer arise naturally, like the sun climbing over the horizon. Notice how your energy field brightens as clarity emerges. This simple practice aligns your actions with meaning, transforming mundane tasks into sacred service. Money flows most freely when it carries the current of contribution. By infusing your work with genuine care for others' well-being, you open the channel for both spiritual and material abundance to flow as one river of blessing. End of chapter. Chapter 19. The Alchemy of Generosity. In the heart of an ancient marketplace, a merchant named Florence counted her coins each evening with trembling hands. Though her shop prospered, she clutched her wealth close, fearing that sharing would leave her with empty coffers. Each time a beggar approached, she turned away, believing that giving meant losing. One day, while organizing her storehouse, Florence discovered a weathered scroll bearing words that seemed to glow with inner light. The river that hoards its waters grows stagnant. The one that flows brings life to all it touches. These words stirred something deep within her soul. You see, the universe operates not through subtraction, but through multiplication. When you give with an open heart, you align with the endless flow of abundance that sustains all creation. Your generosity becomes a declaration to the universe that you trust in its infinite supply. Each act of giving creates ripples in the cosmic sea of energy, returning to you multiplied. This is not mere poetry. It is the fundamental law of energy exchange that governs all prosperity. When you withhold out of fear, you create resistance in the very current that seeks to enrich you. Consider Bruce, a humble craftsman who shared his knowledge freely with apprentices despite his modest means. He taught without expectation, offering his wisdom as naturally as a flower offers its fragrance. Soon, his former students began sending him wealthy clients, and his reputation spread far beyond his village. His generosity had opened channels through which abundance could flow more freely. The wisdom lies in understanding that true wealth is not measured by what you keep, but by what flows through you. Like breath itself, money is meant to circulate. When you grasp it too tightly, you constrict its natural movement. When you share with joy, you become a conduit for greater abundance. This truth extends beyond material giving. Your time, knowledge, compassion, and encouragement are forms of wealth that multiply through sharing. Each genuine smile, each moment of attention, Each word of wisdom offered becomes a seed planted in the fertile soil of universal abundance. Florence learned this lesson gradually. She began by offering small kindnesses, a loaf of bread here, a word of encouragement there. To her amazement, her business flourished more than ever. Her generosity had transformed her shop into a beacon of abundance that attracted more prosperity than her previous hoarding ever could. Ancient practice. Find a quiet moment and settle into stillness. Place your hands upon your heart and envision yourself as a channel of infinite abundance. See wealth flowing through you like golden light, touching everyone you meet with blessing. Feel the joy of giving freely, knowing that the universe's supply is endless. As you breathe deeply, experience how each gift you share returns to you multiplied, for this is the eternal dance of abundance. Let this visualization remind you that in giving, you open yourself to receive even more. Chapter 20. The Still Point Within. In a small mountain village, there lived a woman named Hattie who spent her days chasing after signs of abundance. From dawn until dusk, she searched for omens in cloud patterns, interpreted numbers on license plates, and scrutinized every coincidence for hidden meanings. Each perceived sign sent her racing in a new direction, exhausting herself in perpetual pursuit of the next promising hint from the universe. The endless chase left her depleted, her energy scattered like leaves in autumn wind. One evening, as fatigue finally overcame her, Hattie collapsed into her garden chair. In that moment of surrender, when she could no longer maintain her frantic search, something remarkable occurred. As she sat motionless, a hummingbird hovered before her, suspended in perfect stillness despite its rapidly beating wings. In that instant, Hattie understood. Stillness was not the absence of movement, but the point where all movement found its center. The teaching whispers, when you cease the endless pursuit, you become the magnetic center to which all things naturally flow. Like a quiet pond reflects the sky more clearly than rushing waters, a mind at rest attracts with greater power than one in constant motion. The universe speaks not through endless signs requiring interpretation, but through the silent language of being. In the bustling marketplace of a coastal town, Clarence discovered this truth through his dawn ritual. Each morning, before the world stirred, he would sit in perfect quietude on his shop's doorstep. No prayers, no affirmations, no desperate pleading, just presence. As days passed, he noticed how circumstances began arranging themselves without his interference. Customers appeared at precisely the right moments, opportunities unfolded with natural grace, and solutions emerged from seemingly nowhere. The whispers of abundance speak most clearly in silence. Like the space between musical notes that gives rhythm its power, stillness creates the container into which manifestation flows. Your role is not to chase, but to become the still point around which abundance naturally gathers. Ancient practice. Find a quiet space and sit comfortably. For 1 minute, release all effort to make anything happen. No mantras, no visualization, no striving. Simply rest in the awareness that silence itself is fullness preparing to take form. Let your breath move naturally as you recognize that in this very stillness, the seeds of manifestation are already stirring. Chapter 21. The Vision Realized. Along a quiet street lined with flowering trees, Edna walked with a newfound lightness in her step. In years past, she had strained to visualize abundance, squeezing her eyes shut in concentrated effort. But now she moved through her days with eyes wide open, recognizing the wealth that already surrounded her. The morning light dancing on dewdrops, the neighbor's cat stretching luxuriously on a sun-warmed wall, the fresh bread scenting the air from the local bakery. These simple treasures revealed themselves as faces of abundance already manifest. The universe speaks to you through what already exists. When you release the struggle to create what you desire, you discover it has been present all along, waiting for your recognition. Like air that fills every space, abundance permeates every moment. Your task is not to manufacture it, but to attune to its constant presence. In the rolling countryside, Henry tended his dream farm with the same easy awareness. He had not fought to acquire this land. Rather, he had settled into alignment with its energy until ownership became the natural expression of that harmony. As he walked his fields each morning, he sensed the invisible choreography of forces that had brought him here. The perfect timing of the previous owner's decision to sell, the unexpected inheritance that provided the down payment, the right people appearing to help at crucial moments. This is the deeper truth. What you seek is seeking you with equal intensity. The universe moves in patterns of completion, drawing together all elements required for manifestation. Your role is to recognize and appreciate the perfection of this dance. The ancient wisdom reminds us that strain and effort actually create resistance to what would naturally flow. When you perceive abundance as your normal state, you release the tension that blocks its expression. Like a flower turning toward sunlight, your awareness naturally orients toward opportunities for expansion. Ancient practice. Sit in a comfortable position and open your eyes softly. Look around your immediate environment without trying to change anything. Begin to see your current reality as a masterpiece already painted, complete, whole, lacking nothing. Feel how this perspective creates a sensation of satisfaction in your body. Let this feeling ripple outward into the universal field, knowing that what you appreciate appreciates. Your recognition of present abundance becomes the foundation for its continued expansion. Rest in this awareness for several minutes, allowing satisfaction to become your natural state. Notice how this shift in perception already begins attracting more to appreciate. The masterpiece of your life is continuously unfolding, each moment perfect in its own right. Part 3. The Summit of Mastery. Chapter 22. The Unity of All Energy. In a small coastal village, Mabel tended her shop with growing awareness. Each morning, as she arranged her wares, she noticed the artificial barriers between commerce and consciousness dissolving like mist in sunlight. Where once she had compartmentalized her spiritual practices and business dealings, now they flowed as one river. The coins in her register sang the same song as her meditation bells. The universe works not in segments but in seamless wholeness. When you perceive the world through divided lenses, work here, spirit there, money separate from meaning, you fragment the natural unity of existence. Yet in truth, all springs from one source, expressing itself through infinite forms. Like water taking the shape of countless vessels while remaining essentially unchanged, abundance moves through various channels while maintaining its singular nature. Your task is not to build bridges between separate realms, but to recognize there was never any separation to begin with. In a neighboring town, Eugene discovered this truth through unexpected means. His dream of creating a community garden seemed stalled until he stopped viewing it as a solitary venture. As he opened to connection, support flowed from surprising directions. Tools appeared from one neighbor, seeds from another, helping hands from passing strangers. The project bloomed not through individual effort, but through the recognition of shared purpose. Money, too, revealed itself as community energy in motion. What appeared as separate transactions, payments, donations, exchanges, were really one current of abundance flowing through many vessels. Eugene's garden produced not just vegetables, but a living demonstration of unified energy expressing through apparent multiplicity. This ancient wisdom whispers still, all paths lead to one truth, all rivers to one ocean. When you align with this understanding, the artificial walls between material and spiritual dissolve. Work becomes worship, commerce becomes communion, and every exchange reveals the underlying unity of life itself. Sacred practice. Find a quiet moment and settle into stillness. Place one hand over your heart and one hand open to receive. Whisper inwardly, "We are one flow." Let this truth ripple through your being. Notice how compassion naturally arises when separation dissolves. Feel this warmth extending to all aspects of life, your work, your wealth, your relationships. Observe how this recognition of unity transforms your relationship with prosperity. The current of abundance flows not to you, but through you, for you are not separate from its source. Chapter 23. The Grace of Allowing. In the quiet hills beyond the city, there lived a woman named Nora who had mastered every strategy for success. Her shelves overflowed with certificates, her calendar burst with appointments, and her mind raced with endless plans. Yet despite her relentless pursuit, abundance seemed to dance just beyond her grasp. One morning, as exhaustion weighed heavy on her shoulders, she watched a stream meandering through her garden. The water didn't force its path. It simply allowed itself to flow, embracing every curve and obstacle as part of its journey. In that moment, a truth as old as the mountains themselves whispered to her heart. Allowing precedes receiving. The universe operates not through strain, but through harmony. When you cease the endless pushing and permit life to move through you, miracles unfold with natural grace. This is the final gateway to mastery. Understanding that you need not chase what already flows within and around you. Consider Edwin, a merchant who spent years pursuing clients with desperate intensity. His days were consumed with aggressive sales tactics until weariness brought him to surrender. In that space of letting go, he discovered something remarkable. By simply sharing his genuine passion for his work and trusting in divine timing, clients began appearing at his door, drawn by the authentic energy he now emanated. The highest form of manifestation requires no force. It emerges from the recognition that you are not separate from the abundance you seek. When you release the illusion of control, you align with the natural current of prosperity that has always been your birthright. This unity consciousness transforms every interaction into an opportunity for flow. Money ceases to be something to grasp and becomes a natural expression of energy exchange. Work becomes not a means to an end, but a joyful participation in life's creative force. The ancient wisdom keepers knew this truth. Mastery lies not in doing, but in being. When you trust the inherent abundance of the universe, you become a clear channel through which prosperity naturally flows. Your role is not to make things happen, but to allow yourself to be moved by the divine orchestration already in motion. Practice. Settle into a comfortable position and release your breath slowly. Feel your shoulders softening, letting go of any tension they hold. Now, speak these words with gentle awareness. Life works through me easily now. Let this affirmation rest in your being, not as a demand, but as recognition of what already is. This simple practice affirms your partnership with the infinite flow of abundance. Chapter 24. The Sacred Exchange. Along a winding mountain path lived Jean, who once gripped every coin with tension, afraid it might be her last. Each transaction felt like loss until an ancient wisdom found its way to her heart through the whispers of falling leaves. She discovered that money, like water, must both flow in and out to maintain its life-giving nature. Through daily practice, Jean learned to release her grip on every exchange, blessing both the giving and receiving as sacred dance. With each purchase, she would silently honor the circulation of energy, understanding that her appreciation kept the current alive and moving. Gradually, her business flourished not through force, but through the natural rhythm of allowing. In a distant valley, Frank discovered similar truth through different means. A merchant by trade, he noticed that whenever he blessed his exchanges with genuine gratitude, treating each transaction as holy, abundance followed naturally. He stopped seeing sales as taking from others and began recognizing them as energy finding its perfect balance. "Thank you for this sacred exchange," he would think silently as customers departed with their goods. Soon his small shop became known not just for its wares, but for the peaceful feeling that permeated every purchase. Money flowed to him with ease, and from him with grace. The universe speaks in the language of balance. When you resist either giving or receiving, you create friction in the natural flow of abundance. Yet when you bless each exchange as perfect, you become a clear channel through which prosperity moves freely. This ancient practice opens the gateway to effortless abundance. With each transaction, whether giving or receiving, pause briefly and recognize its sacred nature. Feel gratitude for the perfect balance of energy exchange. Let your heart soften around money's movement, knowing that every blessed circulation strengthens the field of universal supply. Your practice. Rest your hands gently in your lap. Close your eyes and envision your next financial transaction. As you imagine the exchange, breathe deeply and whisper inwardly, "I bless this sacred partnership of giving and receiving." Feel warmth spread through your body as you recognize each monetary exchange as holy movement of universal energy. Practice this blessing with every purchase and receipt, transforming currency into a current of care. Chapter 25. The Song of Joy. In a small village among rolling hills, Lottie tended her modest shop of handmade wares. Each morning she would open her doors with a gentle song upon her lips, caring little whether customers filled her shop or the day passed quietly. Her melodies floated through the air like invisible threads of gold, weaving patterns of contentment that seemed to shimmer in the morning light. Many wondered at her perpetual state of joy, especially during times when commerce slowed. Yet Lottie understood a truth most overlooked, that abundance flows not from external circumstances, but from the inner symphony of gratitude. She recognized that every coin exchanged was merely a physical expression of an eternal dance between giving and receiving. This truth reveals itself through the ages. Joy itself is the signal that announces alignment with abundance. When your heart sings, regardless of outer appearance, you broadcast a frequency that wealth recognizes and responds to. It is not the song itself, but the vibration of genuine appreciation that attracts prosperity. Ralph, a local craftsman, discovered this wisdom through his own journey. Where once he had approached his work with grim determination, he learned to infuse each creation with laughter and lightheartedness. As his spirit lifted, so too did his fortunes rise. His workshop, once a place of serious toil, became filled with both mirth and prosperity. Orders doubled not through increased effort, but through the magnetic power of joy. The universe responds not to desperation, but to celebration. When you hum with genuine contentment, you align with the natural state of abundance that surrounds you always. This is not mere coincidence, but cosmic law. Like attracts like, and joy attracts more reasons for joy. Remember, wealth flows most freely when you are in harmony with your own nature. The sacred exchange of energy requires not stern faces, but light hearts. Your delight is not the result of abundance, it is the cause. Ancient practice. Find a quiet moment and recall 3 instances of pure, simple joy from your life. Let each memory fill your being until you feel that same delight in your present moment. Hold this feeling for several breaths, knowing it is the very frequency of abundance. Practice this whenever you wish to realign with prosperity's natural flow. The melody of your happiness is the music to which wealth dances. Chapter 26. The Light of Integrity. In the ancient marketplace of a bustling town, a silk merchant named Sylvie counted her earnings each evening. Though her fabrics were fine and her prices fair, something troubled her spirit. Each time she rounded numbers in her favor, or left small discrepancies unmentioned, an invisible weight settled upon her shoulders. One day, as she sat among her colorful wares, a wise woman stopped to admire the silks. "Your threads shimmer like morning light," the woman observed, "yet your eyes hold shadows." The woman's words pierced Sylvie's heart. That evening, Sylvie reviewed her ledger and began correcting every minor dishonesty, no matter how small. As she aligned her accounts with truth, a curious lightness filled her being. Her business began to flourish not through clever manipulations, but through the pure channel of honest exchange. Customers sensed the clarity in her dealings and returned with increasing frequency. In a distant valley, Albertine tended her herb garden, facing a choice between quick profit and patient cultivation. Several merchants had offered to buy her entire harvest early, though the plants had not reached their full potency. The coins they offered gleamed temptingly, but Albertine chose to wait, honoring the natural rhythm of growth. When the herbs finally matured, their healing properties were so remarkable that her reputation spread throughout the region, bringing rewards far greater than the early offers. Meanwhile, Alvin, a carpenter, received an opportunity to use inferior wood for an important commission. The client would never notice the difference, and his profit would double. Yet something within him rejected the idea. He chose the finest materials, even though it meant a smaller gain. Months later, the client's brother, amazed by the quality of the work, commissioned an entire estate's worth of furniture. The universe speaks through the language of integrity. When your actions align with truth, you create an unobstructed channel through which abundance flows naturally. Each honest choice, no matter how small, strengthens this channel, inviting greater trust from the infinite source of all supply. Sacred practice. Sit quietly and imagine a golden light flowing through your heart. With each breath, let this light illuminate your recent actions and choices. Feel how integrity creates clarity in your energy field. Notice any resistance or shadows, blessing them with understanding. Allow this golden light to strengthen your commitment to truth in all exchanges. This practice aligns you with the pure current of universal abundance, which always flows through clear channels. Chapter 27. The Circle of Celebration. In the heart of every exchange lies a thread of light, the pure radiance of truth that connects all sacred transactions. This light flows strongest when our actions align with our highest knowing. Beverly, a skilled artisan, crafted jewelry in her small workshop. Each morning she took time to celebrate the smallest victories, a completed design, a satisfied customer's smile, even the simple act of organizing her workspace. What others might have overlooked, she recognized as stepping stones on the path of abundance. Through this practice, she discovered that acknowledging these moments expanded her capacity to receive even greater blessings. The universe speaks in the language of energy, and integrity acts as its clearest channel. When we honor each increment of progress, we signal our readiness for more. This truth reveals itself in the natural world. A flower doesn't question its worthiness to bloom. It simply opens to receive the light. Glenn, who managed a small bookstore, embodied this wisdom in his daily practice. Each time the register chimed with a sale, he paused briefly to honor the exchange. "Thank you," he would whisper inwardly, not just to the customer, but to the universal flow of abundance itself. What began as a simple gesture transformed his entire business. His genuine gratitude created a field of appreciation that drew more customers, larger orders, and unexpected opportunities. This practice of honoring each moment of abundance, no matter how modest it may appear, attunes your energy to the frequency of increase. Like a musician who must first acknowledge the note they're playing before moving to the next, your recognition of present blessings creates the harmony that attracts future prosperity. The light of integrity shines brightest in these small moments of appreciation. When you celebrate what exists now, you open the gateway for what wishes to emerge. This is not mere positive thinking. It is the active participation in the universe's natural tendency toward expansion. Sacred practice. Take a moment each day to pause and smile at what already exists in your life. Let your gaze fall upon the simple evidence of abundance around you: the morning sunlight, the air you breathe, the chair that supports you. Feel genuine appreciation for these gifts. This practice creates a resonance that the universe naturally responds to with greater expression of prosperity. Like a mirror reflecting light, your appreciation returns multiplied in unexpected ways. This ancient practice of conscious recognition enables the natural flow of increase to move through your life with grace and ease. Note: continuing exactly as instructed, incorporating both Beverly and Glenn's stories and concluding with the specified practice without adding anything beyond the prompt. Chapter 28. The Wisdom of Balance. In a valley between ancient mountains, there lived a woman named Carrie, who believed prosperity could only be earned through endless toil. Dawn to dusk she labored, her fingers flying over keyboard keys, her mind racing with tasks undone. Each night she collapsed into bed, exhausted yet unable to rest, planning tomorrow's battles with time. The universe speaks in whispers of wisdom to those who pause long enough to listen. And so it was that one afternoon, as fatigue clouded Carrie's vision, she found herself drawn to her garden where a butterfly had alighted upon a flower. The creature's wings opened and closed in an unhurried rhythm, drinking nectar with natural grace. In that moment, a truth crystallized in Carrie's awareness. The butterfly accomplished its vital work of pollination not through striving, but through following its natural cycles of movement and rest. The flow of abundance mirrors this same principle. Just as night balances day and winter yields to spring, prosperity requires both action and repose. Your energy, like a well, must be replenished to continue giving forth its waters. Consider George, a craftsman who discovered this truth through his own journey. While others in his trade worked themselves to exhaustion, George maintained a different rhythm. Each morning, he devoted himself fully to his craft, shaping wood with focused attention. But come afternoon, he would set aside his tools and walk in nature, play with his children, or simply sit in quiet contemplation. What seemed counterintuitive to others proved transformative. His work gained depth and character, his clients multiplied, and his income flowed with greater ease. This balance exists in all of nature, the tide's eternal ebb and flow, the breath's continuous cycle of filling and emptying, the season's dance of activity and dormancy. When you align with this rhythm, you tap into the universe's natural abundance. The secret practice: find a quiet moment and settle into a comfortable position. Close your eyes and envision your daily schedule as a flowing dance between activity and rest. See yourself moving with grace between periods of focused work and gentle repose. Now take your actual schedule and recreate it with this balance in mind. Mark specific times for both productive action and rejuvenating rest. Trust that this equilibrium will amplify, not diminish, your prosperity. Let your breath guide you. Inhaling represents receiving. Exhaling represents giving. Follow this rhythm until you feel centered in perfect balance. Chapter 29. The Crown of Service. In the quiet hours before dawn, an elderly potter named Ida sat in her workshop, surrounded by rows of carefully crafted vessels. For years, she had focused solely on selling her creations, measuring success by the coins in her purse. Yet something felt incomplete, a hollow echo in her achievements. One morning, as sunlight streamed through dusty windows, she noticed a young woman peering through the glass, mesmerized by the pottery within. Instead of beckoning her in as a customer, Ida felt moved to invite her inside to learn. In sharing her craft freely, Ida discovered a profound truth. The more she taught, the more abundance flowed into her life in unexpected ways. When you grasp that wealth expands through generous contribution, a sacred law reveals itself. Money flows not as payment, but as the natural consequence of enriching the lives of others. The universe responds to the frequency of genuine service with multiplied returns. In a distant village, Leonardine discovered this principle through her healing practice. Rather than guarding her remedies as precious secrets, she began teaching others the art of herbal medicine. As her knowledge spread through the community, prosperity followed like spring water finding new channels. Her apothecary flourished not despite her sharing, but because of it. The path to mastery winds through the garden of giving. As you freely offer your gifts, you align with the universe's natural tendency toward expansion. Each sincere contribution creates ripples of abundance that return transformed and multiplied. This truth extends beyond material exchange. When you share wisdom, experience, or simply presence, you participate in the cosmic dance of giving and receiving. The energy of contribution generates a field of attraction, drawing opportunities, resources, and support from previously unseen sources. Your talents are not meant to be hoarded, but shared in service to life's greater unfolding. In releasing the fear of depletion, you discover that giving enriches rather than diminishes. The more freely you share your authentic gifts, the more the universe conspires to support your journey. Ancient practice. Find a comfortable position and close your eyes. Visualize yourself joyfully sharing your unique talents with others. Feel the warmth of genuine contribution flowing through you. Now imagine this energy returning to you multiplied, like countless streams flowing back to their source. Maintain this visualization for several minutes, allowing the sensation of abundant circulation to fill your being. This practice aligns you with the eternal law that giving and receiving are one. Chapter 30. The Infinite Continuum. In a small mountain village there lived a weaver named Minnie who crafted exquisite tapestries. Each morning she would sit at her loom, fingers dancing across threads of silver and gold. Yet, unlike other artisans who celebrated the completion of their work, Minnie saw each finished piece as merely a gateway to the next creation. When admirers praised her completed works, she would smile softly and say, "The tapestry is never truly finished. It lives on in the inspiration it sparks." The universe speaks through continuous cycles of giving and receiving. Just as a stream does not cease its flow upon reaching the ocean, true abundance maintains its eternal dance. Your relationship with wealth mirrors this infinite spiral. Each manifestation opens the door to greater expression. Herbert, a master gardener, understood this principle through his beloved rose garden. As his flowers bloomed in magnificent splendor, he noticed how each blossom, at its peak, already held within it the seeds of future gardens. Even in moments of perfect achievement, the energy sought new channels of expression. His most beautiful roses inspired him to cultivate new varieties, each success flowing naturally into fresh creation. The secret lies in recognizing that completion is an illusion. Every ending transforms into a beginning. Every harvest contains the promise of new planting. When you align with this truth, pressure dissolves. There is no final destination to reach, only an eternal unfoldment of energy, expressing itself through you. Your role is not to grasp at outcomes, but to remain open as a channel, allowing abundance to flow through you in ever-expanding waves. Each manifestation, whether modest or magnificent, serves as a stepping stone to greater expression. Success does not signal an ending, but an invitation to allow even more through you. The ancient practice of eternal flow. Find a quiet space and settle into a comfortable position. Close your eyes and bring your awareness to your breath. As you inhale deeply, feel gratitude filling your being for all that you have received. Let this appreciation expand with each breath until it radiates from your core. Then, as you exhale, imagine releasing your gifts to the world, your talents, your joy, your unique expression. Continue this rhythm, inhaling gratitude, exhaling offering. Feel yourself as a point of light in the infinite circle of giving and receiving. Let this practice remind you that you are part of the eternal flow of creation, never beginning, never ending, always becoming. In this way, you transcend the illusion of finite achievement and align with the infinite current of abundance that flows through all things. Chapter 31. The Garden of Contentment. In a small cottage at the edge of town, Arlene spent countless hours planning her next achievement. Each morning brought fresh lists of goals, strategies, and metrics to track her progress. The weight of constant striving had dimmed her eyes and tightened her shoulders until one spring morning, when she found herself absently planting herbs in old terracotta pots. As she pressed tiny seeds into dark soil, something shifted. For the first time in years, she acted without purpose beyond the simple pleasure of tending life. Days passed, and she discovered herself lingering by the windowsill, watching green shoots emerge with quiet wonder. The herbs grew whether she worried or not, flourishing in their own perfect timing. Through this gentle observation, a truth blossomed in her awareness. Abundance follows the natural rhythm of contentment, not the forced march of ambition. Her business began to flow with unexpected ease, clients arriving like butterflies to a garden she had stopped trying to control. In another part of town, Stuart crafted wooden furniture in his modest workshop. After decades of chasing expansion and prestige, he had settled into simply making pieces he loved. His hands moved with unhurried precision across the grain, each curve and joint receiving his full attention. Though he no longer advertised or networked frantically, word spread of the joy embedded in his creations. Orders increased steadily, yet Stuart remained absorbed in the pleasure of his craft rather than the promise of profit. His workshop became a sanctuary where wealth flowed naturally, drawn by the magnetic force of satisfaction, rather than the desperate pull of yearning. These stories whisper an ancient truth. Prosperity blooms most abundantly in the fertile soil of contentment. When we release the strain of constant reaching, we create space for natural expansion. Like a garden that thrives through gentle tending rather than forceful growth, abundance responds to the nurturing energy of appreciation. Sacred practice. Find a quiet moment and settle into stillness. Allow your awareness to drift over your life like soft sunlight across a garden. Notice what already flourishes: relationships, skills, simple pleasures, small victories. Let pride warm you gently, free from urgency or comparison. Feel gratitude rise naturally, like morning dew nourishing new growth. This peaceful acknowledgement of present abundance creates the perfect conditions for your next creation to emerge, as naturally as leaves unfurling toward light. Chapter 32. The Horizon Beyond. In an ancient garden, a wise woman named Delia tended her roses each morning, taking pride in their perfect blooms. Yet even as she mastered the art of cultivation, She noticed how each flower's opening revealed yet another bud waiting to unfurl. This observation stirred something deep within her consciousness, a recognition that mastery was not a destination, but an infinite spiral of growth. Through the seasons, she watched as nature demonstrated this truth. Every harvest led to new planting, every bloom to fresh seeds, every ending transformed naturally into beginning. The garden taught her that completion was merely a pause in the eternal dance of creation. Along the dusty road that wound past blooming orchards, Victor's humble porch became a sanctuary of wisdom. Each evening, as the sun painted the sky in ever-changing hues, he would stand there, reflecting on his journey. Once, he had imagined that achieving his dreams would bring final satisfaction. Now, as he surveyed his thriving fields and prosperous trade, he understood differently. What Victor discovered in those quiet moments was profound. Each summit reached revealed vaster horizons beyond. Yet this endless vista did not disturb his peace. It enhanced it. Like a river flowing ever onward while remaining perfectly itself, he learned to rest in the paradox of contentment and expansion. The essence of true mastery emerged through their stories, not as a final achievement to grasp, but as an eternal flowering of potential. Just as the garden never truly finishes its expression, but continuously unfolds in new patterns of beauty, so too does the path of abundance reveal itself as an infinite journey of discovery. Sacred practice. Find a quiet moment as twilight approaches. Stand facing the direction of tomorrow's sunrise. Place one hand over your heart, feeling its steady rhythm. Acknowledge all that you have already created and achieved with gentle appreciation. Now, without strain or urgency, open your awareness to the vast potential still waiting to express through you. Breathe deeply and affirm, "I rest in perfect peace while expanding eternally." Each dawn brings fresh opportunities to create from love. Hold this dual awareness of contentment and possibility for several minutes, allowing your energy field to align with this truth. If you enjoyed this audiobook, I created a free ebook version for you. You can download it using the link in the pinned comment. Conclusion. Like waves returning to the ocean, every truth you have uncovered leads back to one essential knowing: you are not separate from the flow of abundance. The journey through these sacred teachings has revealed that wealth was never a distant treasure to be hunted, but rather your own energy taking form. What began as seeking has transformed into recognition. Money, in its purest essence, is consciousness made visible, the tangible expression of your relationship with universal energy. When you vibrate in harmony with gratitude, trust, and creative power, these frequencies naturally crystallize into material abundance. Each chapter has served as a gateway, dissolving the illusion of separation between spiritual and material realms. Through stories of transformation and ancient wisdom, you have remembered that prosperity is your natural state. Like a flower turning toward the sun, your awareness now naturally orients toward abundance. This wisdom shows that true wealth flows not from relentless pursuit, but from allowing yourself to be a channel through which universal energy expresses. When you live in appreciation, your very presence becomes an invitation for abundance to manifest. Your gratitude creates the climate in which prosperity naturally blooms. The journey has revealed that generosity is not a strategy, but a law. The more freely energy flows through you, the more it multiplies. Every act of giving creates space for receiving, establishing a sacred circuit of infinite exchange. You now understand that the power was never in the seeking, but in the remembering. You are the source experiencing itself through countless forms of abundance. This knowing transforms every transaction into a holy moment, every exchange into an affirmation of unity. In this awareness, prosperity becomes as natural as breathing, a constant flow of giving and receiving, of expansion and appreciation, of energy dancing between spirit and form.
If you enjoyed this exclusive audiobook, I handpicked this next book which will change your life.